Am I the asshole for being uncomfortable with my roommate's dad letting himself into our apartment? I moved into this apartment about a year ago. My roommate has lived here for 3 years, and before I moved in, her older sister was her roommate. Naturally, their parents have a spare key, which I totally understand. It's been a family thing for years. But I didn't know about the spare key when I moved in, and now the way her parents use it is starting to make me really uncomfortable. The first time it happened, my roommate was at work on a Sunday and I was napping on the couch. I heard the doorbell but ignored it, assuming it was just a neighbor. A few seconds later, the front door opened and her parents walked in. I was startled and confused. They said they were just there to pick up her laundry. I was definitely caught off guard, but I let it slide. Since then, her parents have come by somewhat frequently. Yesterday, something happened that really pushed my boundaries. I usually leave early for work, but I had a later event, so I was still in bed around 6:50 a.m. when I heard the front door open. I could hear someone walking around and then using our shared bathroom. It creeped me out. Later I asked my roommate if someone came in, and she said the only person it could have been was her dad. She texted him and confirmed he came by to drop off her wallet and used the bathroom. I told her I'd appreciate a heads up in the future. She responded that she didn't know he was coming either and that she'd asked him to give more notice. But then she added that he probably assumed no one was home because she usually has class on Wednesdays. That annoyed me because both of our cars were parked right outside the front door. He definitely could see someone was home. So I replied that if my car is parked out front, it's safe to assume I'm home, and I just really appreciate a heads up. Now things feel a little tense. I know it's partially my fault for not bringing this up more seriously the first time it happened, but I didn't want to make it a big deal. I get that her parents having a key is a legacy from when her sister lived here, but I'm not her sister. I'm just a regular roommate who found the place through a roommate group. I would never be okay with my parents just letting themselves into a shared apartment. I'm not upset they have a key. I'm upset that they use it to just let themselves in without knocking or warning, especially while I'm home. It's invasive, and honestly, it makes me feel unsafe. I also want to add that I don't want her to think I feel negatively about her dad, because I don't. I understand he probably meant no harm, but this is more about my own personal comfort. It's just not something I'm okay with, and I don't know how to make that clear without sounding accusatory. Info. Parents do not own apartment. My roommate and I are the only ones on the lease. The parents are used to seeing this as the apartment of their daughter. The parents and also your roommate need to take your privacy more seriously. There should absolutely be no more entry into the apartment unless it has been okayed by everyone or in the case of an emergency. Not the asshole, they need to remember that there is another person in that apartment with rights. Not the asshole. Legally, the only tenants are you and the roommate. The dad and mom shouldn't have a spare key unless it's their property. Since it's not, you need to tell the roommate that you're now on the lease, and that her parents are not welcome to walk into your shared space without contacting you first. I guarantee, your landlord will agree. If she refuses to adapt, talk to the landlord. You have a right to privacy and quiet enjoyment of your space, that includes freedom from intrusion from her parents. It's not her property to do with as she wishes. Not the asshole. But tell her don't ask them to give notice, tell them it is an expectation or they will return the key. You are not her sister. Maybe start by sitting down and saying, let's set up roommate rules. I understand you moved from your home in with your sister, so basically still home due to similar rules. So you two need to talk through roommate rules, recognizing you didn't grow up with each other and have similar styles. You're basically living with someone who has a non-familial roommate for the first time. Maybe confirm this first. Did she ever live with anyone else than a family member? I'd start looking for a new place to live though. She sounds like she's used to getting what she wants when she wants it. Not the asshole. Let her know you walk from your room to the bathroom in only a towel and it's very uncomfortable when a strange man comes over unannounced. Alternative idea is stick a doorstopper under the door when you're home alone and she can text you if she's at the door. Info. You say, naturally, their parents have a spare key, which I totally understand. It's been a family thing for years. Do the parents own the apartment? No, they don't own the apartment. But before I moved in, their other daughter lived here, so both of their kids were living in the apartment before. Which is why it made sense why they would have a spare key. Am I the asshole for refusing to answer my friend's messages after she accused my mom of cheating? I, 19, have an extremely unusual complexion for a Southeast Asian. Alabaster. Classmates have called me albino for years now. My friend, 19 female, is the only one who not only hasn't called me this but has also always been supportive. I told her I have feelings for her 8 months ago but she rejected me. We still carried on with our friendship though. Last week, she said that maybe my mom slept with an American or European. I asked if she's serious and she nodded, saying it's the only explanation that makes sense. That I must have Caucasian blood to be this pale. I told her it's just some weird genetics thing, but she wouldn't listen and said it's time I got a DNA test with my dad. So I haven't answered her messages or calls and have been avoiding her in person. She finally came over and said I'm being petty and that she's only trying to be rational about everything. Not the asshole. You can choose what you tolerate. If you don't want to talk to someone, great news is, you don't have to. If you took personal offense, by all means don't talk to her. You are not the asshole because you weren't making comments about someone else's mother's relations. However, she is the asshole. I say this is the world's whitest German-Egyptian combo. Sounds like she failed biology. Punnett squares should have been taught a while ago. There are plenty of people who have recessive genes show up down the line. Not the asshole at all. Your friend was mean. Then she called you petty? Seriously? She's a turd. The only rational thing is that you're distancing yourself from her. Not the asshole. Even if what she says is true, she was out of line for bringing it up. Plus, she pushed the issue when you rejected her theory. I can totally understand putting some distance between you. Not the asshole. This friend is saying your mom must have cheated, even after you said it's a genetic thing. Which, if y'all's schooling has any biology classes, they would touch on that a little bit. I vaguely recall my high school biology class going into DNA and genetics. I think it was something with the melanin, that the bodies of folks with albinism just don't produce as much as the typical person of their heritage, and it is quite rare. Anyhow, you have set a boundary, and are sticking to it. It's not easy, especially when it's someone that's been in your life a while. Sometimes we drift away from those we grow close to, but y'all never know if, when y'all might reconnect. Not the asshole. Remember, you can't choose who walks into your life, but you can choose what window you throw them out of. When someone tells you who they are, believe them. This one just told you that they're the same as all the others. Am I the asshole for not training as hard as my girlfriend? Me, 23M, and my girlfriend, 20F, are both overweight, with me being more overweight. Last week, we decided that we were going to change our habits in order to become healthy. Since then, she has been going to the gym and eating healthy. Me, on the other hand, Al thought eating also healthy, have not been training, going to the gym, apart from 2 days where I trained at home. One of those days I trained at home, I only did minor stuff, which I told her about. Now, after hearing that, she became annoyed that I am not trying as hard as her because I have not trained every single day. The thing is, in my head, as long as, each day I am being consistent, eating healthy and training around 3 times a week, I will lose weight and become healthy. But, because she trains 6 days a week and I don't, to her, that means I have no discipline and I need to try harder. That made me quite annoyed because I've truly been making better choices. Yes, I could have trained more, I failed there I know, but should my other choices also matter, the good ones? Not the asshole, but just FYI, if she gets super fit and you stay fat, she's probably going to dump you. Lol, eating healthy is a trap. If you're not tracking calories and ensuring you're in a caloric deficit, you'll spin your wheels. Not the asshole. It takes weeks to build the habits needed to lose weight. The main focus should be 1. Walking daily. 2. Eating in a calorie deficit. Focus in these 2 options. Rest days are every bit as important as training days too. Training too hard can result in injury and really impact your progress. Sincerely, a physical therapist who has just lost nearly 5 stone. The effects of working out on weight loss get massively blown out of proportion. You said you're still eating healthy and tracking your calories? Good enough. Don't fall into the trap of going 500%. Working out 6 days a week, eating the most bland barebone foods once a day to lose weight. This is why so many people fail at it. Not the asshole. You're building sustainable habits, not racing her to a meltdown. Slow progress, fast burnout. Stay consistent and let your results speak. Not the asshole. But the commenter below is correct. You can eat healthy, which I assume means cut out processed junk and eat more fruits, veggies, non-processed stuff, etc., and still not lose weight if you're eating too much. So if you're serious about that, then definitely track that. As for the gym, the most important thing is consistency. If you know you're good for 3 days a week and that's what you can consistently do without giving up, then do that. If you're not a 6-day-a-week in the gym person, trying to do that load will break you and you'll end up giving up and going 0 days. In addition to the gym, I try and get a 15-20 minute, 1 mile, walk in each day. You don't need equipment and you can listen to music, podcasts, etc. Necessarily, the asshole, but it sounds like your girl needs some support that she was expecting from you and not getting. Your diet will make you less overweight, not your training, but training will be essential to building back some lean muscle tissue while you are losing weight. Does great things for your blood sugar and hormones and whatnot. 3 days a week is good though. No need to work out 7 days a week for 2 hours at a time. Do be sure to see if she wants to go on walks with you, if not you should be walking daily. Am I the asshole for not being willing to pick my wife up at 2 a.m.? My wife has what are essentially house parties once a month with her friends where she gets plastered. She told me Saturday that they were doing it that night and asked if I would be okay picking her up. I've done this for her in the past, but felt like I needed to set some boundaries because her pickup time can range anywhere from 11 p.m. to well past 2 a.m. and it's absolutely miserable for me because I have to spend all night in waiting mode trying not to fall asleep until she decides she wants to go home. I told her I would be fine picking her up until midnight, but passed that she would need to either stay there and I can pick her up in the morning. This is a trusted friend and she already has permission to crash there, or she can take an Uber home. She tears into me over this, the details of which I won't go into here. She ends up apologizing for her behavior and agrees to the midnight compromise, but insists that I'm still in the wrong for not being willing to pick her up that late at night. Her friends are telling her that I was being an asshole over this, and my coworkers I've talked with about it have been pretty 50-50. While I sympathize with her about not wanting to take an Uber as a drunk woman at 2 a.m., I feel like I was more than reasonable with my compromise, especially considering this was at a friend's house she could crash at if she thought she was too drunk to safely take the Uber. If there was an emergency I would still go get her, and honestly if she called at 2 a.m. and I actually woke up I would still go get her even if it wasn't an emergency, albeit begrudgingly. Some relevant background info is that I get up every morning at 4:30 a.m. because of my job and likewise try to go to bed at 8:30 p.m. While I didn't have work the next morning, I'm a bit of a stickler for maintaining my sleep schedule and get pretty anxious when it's not too far off course. I was informed that this was happening the day of, so I had gotten up at the same time that morning. 2 a.m. is extremely late for me and driving can be dangerous. I can't nap to prep for this both because I don't want to nuke my sleep schedule and because of the wide-ranging pickup times coupled with the fact that I know that I probably won't hear my ringer if I nod off. I also try to not drink too often because of a history of alcoholism in my family, and I had drank basically every night the week before for networking during a work trip and gone with her the past few months to these events, so that's why I couldn't just go with her. Not the asshole. This would massively interfere with the sleep schedule you have for your job. She sprung this on you with hardly any notice. This is a planned situation in which she incapacitates herself and is expecting you to be her cab, whilst she can also just stay with the friend. She should sort this out herself. What's her reason for not wanting to sleep at the friend's house? Binge drinking like this is also really unhealthy. Something for her to think about. Not the asshole. Last I checked the standard wedding vows, they didn't have anything about staying up all night so that one's partner can drink as much as they want without having to take an Uber home. Your wife has numerous options, including staying home and drinking with you, instead staying only until 12 o'clock and riding home with you, staying out as late as she wants and getting an Uber going out but staying sober and driving herself home. Admittedly, some of these require a bit of sacrifice on her part, but she's the one having fun. She's an asshole for saying the only acceptable solution is the one that requires you to do all the sacrificing. Her friends think this makes you an asshole for this? Sounds about right. You are who you surround yourself with. Good luck. Not the asshole. If she's old enough to drink to excess, she's old enough to find a way to get her drunk ass home. I say this as a regular drinker who has never expected my husband to come fetch me. That would especially be the case if I knew he'd then have to survive on less than 3 hours sleep that day. She's incredibly selfish and the only asshole in the story. I would never ask my husband to do this. It's rude and inconsiderate. Not the asshole if the gender roles were reversed and a man was going out every month with his friends getting plastered, then getting pissed because wife won't pick him up. OMG. Everyone would be yelling divorce the selfish prick. So yeah, divorce the selfish prick. She is not old enough for a relationship.